everyone, and thank you for being on tonight for, I guess, the 2 days that I have with you. I'm really going to be opening up and talking more about vulnerability and how to really use it to advance your business and to really use your Sally, I guess, in forming your team and the people on your team. So what I wanted to start talking about was a little bit about my story and how I started to become more vulnerable. I didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to share everything that's so scary to share. I kind of just knew that I wasn't alone, especially from talking to people privately, because I'm sure you're talking to people that you can connect with in a way in private messages. And I'm sure that they've connected with you in some way of something that you've said online. So first off, people connect with your story, not the products. So, you know, there's 300,000 Beachbody coaches out there. Okay, someone could be posting a stock picture of like Shakeology and T25 and it's on sale. You could post your results and post about how you physically feel as it's going on, what struggles you went through and all that stuff. That is being vulnerable. That is sharing your story. That is what is going to get people to come and talk with you. Same kind of concept when you're talking about adding people to your team and growing your team. So I like to, I started out talking a lot about how I struggled with depression and postpartum depression. And I can tell you a lot of people on my team have struggled with depression. Why? Because they've seen what I've posted and they see how Beachbody has changed my life because of what the things that I have said. So, I talk about how I probably wouldn't have, been on this journey without all the support and the help. I needed that. I'm going to be opening up about this eventually. But the stuff that's been going on in my life the past 3 weeks, I'm going to be writing a blog post about it, and that's going to be very vulnerable for me. But the thing is every time I've posted something that I'm scared to post, and there are still times and still things that I'm scared to post about. Money is a huge one, and I think that's scary for everyone, and that's very, very vulnerable. But I think that it's important because if I wouldn't have seen other people's posts of financially of how Beachbody has helped them, I probably wouldn't have known the potential that it had. So I've only posted one time about it. I made a video. And I think videos are really good for being vulnerable and opening up and showing your emotion because people can really see your emotion through video versus just text. So you don't have to be vulnerable all at once. So Chalene Johnson, I don't know if you guys listen to her at all. She has a great podcast and I listen to her all the time. And she talks about this thing called an upswing. And so things can be going on in your life that are maybe negative or maybe not that great, right? You don't necessarily need to post them right then. Wait until there's an upswing, until there's something that you can say, hey, you know what? Last year at this time, I was broke. I was still having help from my parents, and I was, I wasn't married yet or anything like that. Whereas this year, I have no help from my parents. I'm financially stable, and I don't live off of food stamps. Okay, so see how I waited to really actually talk about that for a year. Like you need to wait for that upswing because people need to see where you were and where you've come. Now you can obviously post little things here and there. I'm not saying, don't post stuff like that. But I just think having that upswing is a really beneficial point because you don't want people to just see negative posts. That upswing makes it into a positive light, and that's what you want. So you really use your story to connect. And Brittany's going to get into more of using your story with Success Club later on this week. So I kind of wanted to give you guys some tips on how to get over posting things that are vulnerable. So for me, I have always said with any of my posts, if I can just inspire and help one person, I will be okay. That's what I said the first time I posted my transformation photos, and that's what I say every time that I'm scared to post something because yes, I still get scared to post things because being vulnerable I don't think will ever get easier. You just get stronger and you realize the benefit that that's had on people because when you start posting vulnerable things, people are automatically going to start reaching out to you and be like, hey, I read your post 2 days ago and I really connected with that one part that you said. Or, hey, I read your post 2 weeks ago and I'm just now ready to reach out to you. Or even years, months, it takes people time. So the more vulnerable you kind of throw in, or vulnerability you throw into your posts, the more people are going to start to see and start to be like, hey, you know what? She's really sharing like a lot of things that are going on in her life. Like, she seems really happy from where, she was a year ago to where she is now. I wonder what she's doing. And from that, people really have been starting to ask me, what is this that you're doing? And don't be afraid. I know in the comments earlier about the accountability post that I posted, someone was posting about being vulnerable in private messages. That's great too. Be vulnerable as you can be in private messages, because no one's seeing that. And that makes you so real. When people come to you and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm binge eating right now and I do not know what to do. I've been struggling with this for months. You can say, hey, you know what? If, maybe you can relate to that. I can totally relate to you in that. I know exactly what you're feeling, but I would love to help you maybe get out of this little place that you're in, and really, encourage you to join one of my challenge groups and so on, and talking about how coaching has changed your life with the accountability and support from over with Team Triceps, 1,000 plus women, so I think that's like the biggest thing is, sharing how it's really benefited you and being vulnerable about that. Because I know that it can be scary talking about the coaching opportunity, like Alexa was talking about. It is scary. But the more you do it and the more you get comfortable and the more you know why you're doing this, the easier it is. I tell anyone I can about it now. I do not care. If you don't want this opportunity, okay, that's your loss, So make sure you're being vulnerable to attract who you want on the team. What do you have to lose by being vulnerable? Staying in the same place you're in right now? Do you want to continue to move forward, or do you want to be vulnerable so that you can show people, where you have come and the knowledge you have? Okay? So don't think, oh, someone wouldn't benefit from this post. That's not true at all. So that's why I want you to always say, if I can just inspire one person, I'll be happy and okay. And what do I have to lose? Anytime you get so scared to think of a post, and you know what? If it's really scary for you, post in the team page first. That's a great way and a great place to start with being vulnerable. Send it to a really good friend, someone that you trust, and be like, hey, could you just look over this for me? I know I've done that many times, because there are times when you just kind of need that reassurance, like, hey, you know what? That does sound really good. And if I was a mom, I would really connect with that spot, So just having that reassurance on a vulnerable post is also really important and can really help, because regardless, we need our self-esteem boosted as well. And when you're going to post about something vulnerable, it's not always the easiest. So I wanted to kind of just give a little background of that, but I really wanted to open it up to you guys for any questions you might have for me, or if you have such, scenarios and you're wondering maybe what you could post about, or how to post it. The floor is your guys's. If you have anything. If not, it's fine too. Was that helpful? Are you guys still trying, Tammy?
Yeah, I'm going to talk. I'm going to ask a question for you, Emma.
Yeah.
So you often talk about, with you and your husband and the struggles you went through. Prior to ever doing that, did you worry about his reaction, or did the fear of him not wanting that information out there for the world to see? Because
I actually ask him before I'm going to post something, because I want to know his side. Like you said, I don't want to overstep those bounds. But at the same time, I think we're at a comfortable spot to where we both understand what we did in the past wasn't the best, or the relationship we weren't in wasn't the best. So we're comfortable with talking about that now. But I definitely think it took 3 years. It did, like I said, it doesn't just happen overnight. So I think the more that you both are comfortable in the state of your relationship and how it is, is when it gets way easier to talk about this stuff. Now, I haven't said like everything that we've gone through either, just know that. But I do ask him what his opinion is. And sometimes I'm still like, you know what, I know this is going to help, and I know this is going to inspire someone who's gone through the same thing, so I'm just going to post it. Sorry, babe. But other than that, I don't want to step on like his emotions, because some of the things were his mistakes. It wasn't just all me. And so I don't ever want to overstep his bounds, but he's pretty open about it now. He knows the mistakes he did were wrong. And so we've kind of worked as a team with that. Good question. Anyone else have anything to ask or talk about?
I'm sure that this question is like more just a person-to-person basis.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what tips do you have for trying to decide where to draw that line of like, I'm just going to share this piece today? Because I definitely feel like your life is a puzzle and all those pieces fit together. And so trying to decide like what goes with what.
Yeah. I really think that I take it as how I'm feeling during the day. So like, say today so for instance, I posted these last 3 weeks, I've completely fallen off. I've been in an emotional roller coaster, and I haven't been like that in a really long time. So I didn't really back it up to where I was before, but what I could have said also is, I remember when I would get in these emotional roller coasters and be in them for months, whereas now I was in it for 3 weeks. Does that make sense? So like kind of how you're feeling at the time is a way to tie it in from previous past experiences. And if you're just feeling like, you've talked to someone privately and they're going through something, maybe think of something you've gone through so you can physically pinpoint them and post about something, and they're just really going to be like, oh my gosh, that's me. Like that's literally me right now where she was 5 months ago. So kind of thinking of like who you're talking to, and like you don't like I was talking about, you don't have to like say it all at once, kind of, you know what I mean? Like I think that's kind of where you're going to, is like you don't want to say it all at once. So definitely kind of like you said, it's kind of all a puzzle. And I think like your why is constantly changing, your goals are constantly changing. So I'm still, thinking of things that I didn't remember maybe 2 months ago, but like instances happen now to where I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to do this and I totally forgot about that. So I think things will eventually evolve too. I think it kind of evolves, but I would just really try and focus on pinpointing things that you're doing today where they were different, like, months ago or years ago, and just, easing them in every day. And I kind of said, like, Motivational Mondays, I made last week, Make a Change Monday. And I talked about how, I made a change and what what are you going to do? Asking questions is a really good way too, to get people engaged in your posts. But does that help a little bit, kind of to just make sure that it's kind of on your heart, maybe who you're talking to and stuff? I think that's really what I do. I try and base it off of who I'm talking to and who I really can connect with. Don't try and attract everyone. Don't be vulnerable in every single sense. You don't want that. You want to be vulnerable to your Sally, and you want to be talking to you however you felt a certain amount of months ago, and where, so you can connect in that way.
Awesome. Yeah, that takes care of that.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Anything else before we get off? Thank you all for being on. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow I'm going to be asking how your post went today, or any of the posts that you've ever done. And if you've ever had someone reach out to you and say they can really connect with one of your posts. So be thinking of that maybe, or if someone has done that tonight, you guys kind of have a little sneak peek of what's happening tomorrow. But yeah, if not anything else, I will post the recording so everyone else can watch. And yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I will talk to y'all soon. Have a good night. Bye.